Hello guys, NautoAisDx here, and this I'm going to do sort of a special, basically more my thoughts on the Switch, from the price, packing game, other things, the future of it, and games, and is it going to be a Wii U or not? So I have a lot of this video coming. I want to give my thoughts about it, so I made it like a separate video. But with the start of this segment, I gotta talk about the price. So if you watch the presentation, they announced in America the Nintendo Switch will cost $300 at launch. That's going to be released on March 3rd. Excuse me. For $300, like I said, they come in with the Joy-Con, the grip, the console itself, which is a tablet, the dock, USB adapter type thing, HDMI cable, and one of my biggest gripe is there's no pack-in game. I'll be talking about that in another video about pack-in game, why I believe it's essential, and that'll be again in a different video. So with that, I want to talk about the price. So the first question most people say, is it the price right? Is it right for $300? So as of right now, pre-release of the Switch, people might say, yeah, it kind of makes sense because what they showed, what it can do, maybe. Again, here's technically the rule of judging the price. If a console that's pre-released, that means it's not your release. They mention the price. You can make theories to say if it's good or not. They show you what can it do, what are the games that are coming out. You can make theories like maybe yes or no. But you usually should make your judgment call when the console's finally out, maybe a week or so, months or so, what's happening, and then you find out, oh, some of the feature didn't come until later, or it's not what they talked about. Oh, the games are not coming out. The games are not that good. There you go. Then you can finally make your call. Excuse me. So an example that basically that people thought, oh wow, the Wii U was good at 350. Well, then I just said it. I basically said it. The Wii U. The people before it was released, people said, "Oh yeah, $300, $350 with the Wii U. You can play it with a tablet. It's HD games. Has a lot of features. You can watch TV with it. $350 because it had the content." People might say, "Yeah, that was okay." But when the console came out, that's when people finally are having they have to reevaluate what's going on. They're saying, okay, there's not a lot of games. The games are not fun. The features we thought it was cool, it wasn't really cool. Again, with the Wii U, oh, you can play a game on your tablet, but it had to be near my console. So kind of like, why? Oh, the online wasn't that good. The eShop, it's like confusing looking. The hub doesn't make sense. The TVI, the feature's not good. Then finally you make your judgment like, wow, maybe this doesn't cost $350. Now this system is expensive. The games may be in HD, but what are the other? But okay, well the other consoles are too. I mean, the problem with the Wii U in the end was it was a console that plays Nintendo games in HD. That was it. And that's when people can judge, well, 350 wasn't good. And the gist of that is, it's just the features wasn't there. The reason why 350 in the beginning was because the tablet was costing high. And of course, they put in the packing game, and basically that raises the price. So, there you go. So, that's basically what I'm saying is that in the beginning, you can't really judge the price yet, but once the system is out, that's when you start doing your judgment. Say, oh, okay, well, I don't think this costs $350 because this feature's not doing it to me. The games are not really fun. I thought it was. Online sucks. Yada yada, etc., etc., etc. I mean, that's how it goes. So with that, I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the initial price of each console from when I grew up. I started with NES. And the reason I'm going to start with the NES, you might say, well, not too late. Did you play the Atari, the ColecoVision, the Intellivision? Well, when I was really young, I did play the Atari, but I was so young about video games, I really couldn't understand about video games. It's the Nintendo Famicom when I finally understand more about video game. It wasn't really the Atari because I was too young, didn't really understand. So, and I really don't know about the history of the price for the Atari, the ColecoVision, the history of it, but I can, but because right now I have a notes here, and I'm gonna give you the price and give my thoughts about it. So with that, let's get started. Why not just start with the Atari? So apparently in my notes here, the Atari 2600, which is the one I have when I was really young, back then I was too young, it had an initial price of $200. Again, that came out in, I think, what, the 70s. Again, that's when video games started out. Again, of course, the very first video game was it's the Magnavox, which is, of course, that was the most cheapest console ever because I think it was like $90, between $90 to $100, and it came with a free game, which is Pong. And if you want to know more about what the Magnavox is, you can go to YouTube. Iron Gamer did it, Chris Bohr, and James Rolfe, aka the Angry Video Game Nerd, he also did the Magnavox. Alright, moving on. Like I said, the Atari 2600 was $200. And again, at the time, again, technology was the introduction of what video game is in the 1970s. And then came in the Atari 5200 was supposed to be an upgraded version to the 2600. Not so much with graphics wise, because it's still, I hate to say it, but it's just, a bunch of blocks. But it's supposedly that it can control better, and I had more features than the 2600. That's from what I heard. This one costs $270. Must be the new features. Again, I don't know much. I can't really give my thoughts on it because I never have it, and I was too young for it. And then, of course, I heard there was the Atari 7800. Apparently, this one costs $140. I guess either new features, but they're using cheap parts, or they were basically removing something that probably doesn't need. That can happen, and of course, I'll explain it later. Again, new features. So, but again, I don't know the history of the Atari in the 70s. But then, okay, another one also I don't understand is, but then Mattel Intellivision, apparently it's from Mattel, is $300. Again, it's supposed to be much better than Atari. Again, had some features from what I heard, but again, I'm too young for it, so I really can't really explain the technology of it. But again, if you want guys to know, again, Chris Bohr, James Rolfe, they did something about it. The Intellivision in their YouTube channel. Just go find out, type it in, find it out. There you go. So now we're gonna start with the console that I know, the technology, and why I think they put this price so much. So the first one is the Nintendo Entertainment System, the 8-bit game. So I did kind of say before, or basically in my previous video, can't remember, is that there were multiple SKUs on the NES. But when the first initial came out was $200 with a pack-in game, Super Mario Brothers. And at the time, that's when the technology in the 1980s finally evolved. It has a title screen and more robust gameplay. There's some more things to do. There's multiple levels that you can go to. You finish one level, you go to the next level. And then there's an ending. Yes, some Nintendo games have endings. Granted, some doesn't. Like Ice Climber doesn't, Duck Hunt doesn't, Pac-Man doesn't. But yes, that was the basic SKU they ever had was $200 that comes in with Super Mario Brothers. And apparently, also in my notes, there was also the rare Rob set, which comes with Rob the Robot accessory. Apparently this one comes with a zapper and two games, which is Duck and Gyromat, for $250. So yeah, you kind of similar with the Nintendo Wii U Deluxe and Basic, but again, think of it the robot with the Gyromite game. That's a deluxe. That's a premium one. But the basic one there was with Super Mario Brothers, $200. At the time, it was advanced technology. So of course, and then all right, I'm trying to look for another one. Apparently, I don't see some of it here. All right, I'm probably gonna do a follow up because some of this my list unfortunately doesn't have a lot of. Like I'm trying to look for the Sega Master price. I'll probably do it in the after this video if I find it. But you know what? Let's move on to the 16-bit era, the Super Nintendo, and the Sega Genesis. So the Sega Genesis came first in 1989, 1990, I think. Super Nintendo was 1992. So the Sega Genesis cost $189, so $190, and it came with Alter Beats. It was a 16-bit graphic. It had some good, well, it had some sound. It was again better graphics than the 8-bit. Now we're moving to 1990. The technology going up again. Again, that makes sense. You notice it right now. It's still near $200. Exception for the Rob the Robot set, because again, you have the other toy that's a deluxe. So versus that, the Super Nintendo, $200 with a packing game with Super Mario Brothers. That's an initial. I remember when I finally got it a year later. The Super Nintendo, it was $150. Yeah, there was a price drop within a year later. There you go. But again, it was much better than the Genesis. That's why it has that $10 more price tag. The music was much better. Graphics was much better. Had better quality game. Remember, the 8-bit era and the 16-bit era with the Super Nintendo, they were dominating the video game industry because the games go to the first and the third, granted Nintendo's draconian rule, but hey, it works and when it works. So we're gonna move into the 32-bit era. That's the Sega Saturn, the PlayStation, and N64. So we're gonna start with the Sega Saturn, and yes, a lot of controversy with that console was first it was $400 for a 32-bit console, and in order to make it more boost up with power, you have to buy, they call it a 4 megabyte RAM, so you can make other games order to play. Without it, you can't play the game. And that was $400. But luckily, like a packing game, it came with 3 packing game. Again, I'll explain that in my packing game video. But yeah, apparently, according to my notes here, there is $400, but it has 3 packing game. Versus for the first time, PlayStation. Originally was going to be the Super NES or the NES CD or the Nintendo PlayStation. Of course, there was some fumble. They basically said, heck no. They basically unprofessionally broke their agreement and they went with Philips CDI. And yes, it's an interactive CD. There are games there. Sadly, I don't know the price. Again, if I find it, I'll either do a follow-up or after this video. So, PlayStation, $299. And does it have a packing game or not? From what I heard, the initial launch had Ridge Racer as a promo. I'm not really too sure, but I know for a fact that it comes with a demo disc. So PlayStation, $300. It can do full motion video. It can play music, and it was like better than the Sega Saturn. So what do you choose? And another problem with the Sega Saturn was they released the system during E3 when they announced the system. Kind of doesn't make sense. And the reason why Sega Saturn lost to PlayStation then comes with the N64, which is even so it's $200. At launch, not a lot of people buying them because, well, one, there wasn't a lot of games coming out, and this was the first console that outside of Japan that doesn't have a packing game. That came in later. Again, I'll explain it on my packing video. I'll be talking about it on my packing video. Excuse me. So, but again, why is it $200 in 1996? It's the age of 3D gaming. Everything that was in 3D, of course, cheaper than the PlayStation, but had more technology. Which is, remember, Nintendo was the one that introduced analog control. It wasn't PlayStation. A lot of it was basically Nintendo innovating stuff, gimmick perhaps, but some of them are innovating. Like for the Super Nintendo, the six button, the top button, the Nintendo 64, the analog controls, that was them. Again, even so they're cheaper than the PlayStation at launch, they kind of came in late to the party because by the time the N64 came out, the PlayStation was already $200. And when I got mine for 150. So it had a price drop from past years because the PlayStation came in 94 while the N64 came in 96. So again, the price is right for what it is for the technology at the time. I'm just saddened that the N64 didn't have a game. Granted, like the PlayStation, only the initial Red Racer, but at least have a demo disc. Why can't N64 do it? So now we're gonna move to the PS2 era, which is an era that just the PlayStation 2 dominated because of what it can do. It can play DVDs. It plays DVD-ROM, which is Sony basically, I think, invented. Correct me if I'm wrong. Controllers were basically more refined than the PlayStation 1. Even so that they copied the analog control from Nintendo, they basically made it much better. That's why you got some games that basically utilize it. And of course, build in Rumble. But of course, Nintendo did invent the Rumble feature. It's just add on to the controller. So with that, since the PS2 era started, but of course the first console during the PS2 era started was the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast cost $200. That came in 1999. Again, I think that's reasonable price. Sadly, again, I think the console did not come with this one. It's the first Sega console that did not come with a packing game. I'm sure they didn't. I could be also wrong that doesn't come with a demo disc. I don't know because I never had a Dreamcast. I did at one point was going to intend to get one for $50, but I said, you know what, forget it. I'll just rather get a N64. And the funny part was, I do have some Dreamcast game. You mean how? Well, I bought Dreamcast collection for the Xbox 360, and I bought it also from Steam for $1. The Dreamcast collection. Hey, there you go. And yeah, I used to have it also Sonic Adventure in the GameCube, but I sold them in the long run. Now I can regret it, but you know whatever. I got Sonic again for the Dreamcast and Steam, and of course I can get Sonic Adventure 2 if I wanted to as a download. Same goes with the second Sega Saturn game. I have it on a PS3 as a download. So all's fair, love's fair. You know what I mean. So again, sorry for that. I digress. Excuse me. Back again with the Dreamcast. So $200. I don't think it didn't have a game. Again, I could be wrong. $200 I think was good because it does have a built-in modem. You hook in your telephone line to play online. Yes, telephone line. Alright, so moving from that is the PlayStation 2. The console, this one is $300. Yes, $100 more than the Dreamcast. Do I believe in the price? Kind of like right now with the Switch, it's $299. Well, hard to say. However, I think yes. I didn't really get a PlayStation 2 6 months after it was released because they were hard to find. But at its time in 2000, yes, it kind of showed the capability of the PS2. It was worth getting it. Again, like I said, doesn't have a packing game. However, if you sign for PlayStation Underground, that's before PlayStation, your PlayStation Network account. Underground was the long time. It was like a 90s thing, late 90s thing. You sign up for that, you mail in this card, you get a free PS2 demo disc. Again, like packing game is an issue, but you say, well, that's a demo. Demo disc is not a packing game. Well, they're sort of a packing game because it's still a game. And not only that, it invented DVD-ROM, so better graphics. One of the things that showed was better graphics was Tekken Tag Tournament. You see the arcade version, they're using the Tekken 3 graphics. Tekken Tag Tournament for the PS2. The reason why the graphics was so beautiful, it was using Tekken 4 graphics engine. It was a test for Tekken 4, and of course, you know what happened to Tekken 4. There you go. But yeah, better graphic. It's just at its time, it was beautiful. Plus, you can watch DVD. It was the cheapest DVD at the time. So not only that, you can play a game, you watch DVD, and best of all, it was backwards compatible. Yeah, that, and they did talk about that a long time ago. The problem with backwards compatible at this time of age, it costs money, but again, like packing game, it's something that you have to cut your losses with. You're not supposed to add it in. You're supposed to do it for free. But again, sometimes if it's just too hard, they can't do it. They can't do it. Kind of sucks. But PlayStation 2 for $300 at launch kind of makes sense. And then the Nintendo GameCube, $200 because of course it doesn't play movies. It has Nintendo game. Finally, 128 bits for Nintendo. $200. Sadly to say, again, no packing game, not even a freaking demo disc. And unlike Sony, you can't get one. You really can't get one by mailing in your like mailing in something. There isn't, which is ridiculous. They hardly do demo disc. I mean, the sad part was you can actually buy a demo disc like $10. I'm like, really? Like that should be coming in. I mean, the only packing game I know of for the GameCube that came in way later, but it like 2002. Wait, 2002 or 2003, I can remember when it was already $100. The Legend of Zelda collection. I kind of get it because I registered some games, had the money for it, and yeah, I got it for free. Sweetness, but anyway, it was kind of sucked that again. Another system that didn't have a pack-in game. I think it's BS that didn't have a pack-in game. But is it worth $200? For this one at its time, I have to say no, because one, it doesn't play video, it doesn't play DVD. It plays Nintendo games, and well, maybe 4 player, but you can, and 4 player from the box. On the PlayStation 2, you have to buy this 4 player adapter. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to say. The games were good. The Nintendo games were good. Third-party games, of course, it depends on the controller. Yeah, so I think it was best. It was, I think, in the initial launch 150, but I think that's way too low. I mean, most rule of console, I think it kind of makes sense. It have to be $200 top or minimum. Anything below that, there's something wrong with it. So, kind of gray area for the GameCube for me, but maybe. Alright, so of course, another one is the Xbox. Microsoft's first console. It was not improving yet. However, it was the first console that has actually refined online. The PS2 and the GameCube came in later. They had to use this LAN adapter that you have to hook up your telephone line. Yes, again, telephone line because the internet wasn't really that big yet. There was no such thing as an Ethernet cable. That's until the HD era. I'll explain it later. It was costing $200, and apparently there was also wait. The Xbox is $300, and apparently there's a $400 SKU which comes in with a 20 gig hard drive. Wow, I wait. Wait, my mistake. I'm reading this wrong. No. The Xbox is $300 in 2001 with an 8 gig hard drive. I'm sorry, I was reading another one that's a bit later. And that was a 360, by the way. So, yes, it had a built in 8 gig hard drive. And I don't think it had a packing game. It was a much powerful console than the PS2. Was it worth $300 there? Again, if it can play Blu-ray, hey, it can go online. I guess so. If the PS2 can play Blu-ray and backwards compatibility with PlayStation 1, and it sort of can go online, you just have to buy some component. Unlike the 360, it comes with a component. And yes, it does play DVD, except you have to buy a DVD add-on. I hate to say it, but without a packing game, also $300 at its time. Yes, I think it was worth it because there's a lot of things you can do with the Xbox. I think you can record your gameplay. You can share them. I think you can actually share them online. It was the introduction of Xbox Arcade miniature game. It was the Xbox who did that. Alright, so with the PS2 era, we're moving into the HD era, which is the introduction of HD games, which is the PlayStation 3 and the 360. Not so much with the Wii, but they were in the same era. This is the time when Sega finally said, we're going third party, we cannot do any hardware anymore, we're not making any money with it. Different story. So, with that, it was the 360 that came first in 2005, and the prices are $300 with no hard drive, $400 with a hard drive, a 20 gig hard drive. Yes, 20 gig in the initial launch. I said worth those price. I have to say at the time with the features, probably yes. Again, one, it has a Ethernet cable. Finally, you can go online, especially Xbox. They're the one that basically defined online gaming. The consoles start with an Ethernet cable. Sadly, it didn't have really an HDMI cable until later on, which is kind of weird for them. And it doesn't even have Wi-Fi in it. But is it worth it much? I think, you know what? I take it back. It should have been $50 down. Again, but maybe I don't. Okay, I'm gonna take it back. Maybe $250 for the no hard drive and $350 with a 20 gig because again, there's no Wi-Fi. There's no Wi-Fi. You gotta buy a Wi-Fi adapter for it. Granted, there's an Ethernet cable, but there's no HDMI. But you say, well, how come does it have a packing game? And of course not. However, since it's online, there are some free games in Xbox. Aegis Wing was a free game. Yards at one point is a free game, which is you play a Toyota cars. And if you have the 20 or a hard drive, it comes with Helix HD for free. There you go. So again, there's no packing game. Well, it doesn't need it because it comes with the games. It comes with games. But I think it has to be $50 one because also another problem is you have to pay online with the Xbox 360. At the time, people think, why? I'm already paying my internet provider. Why should I pay you guys? And I'll talk about the online problem. Why sometimes, even in 2017, it's more company they have to go in this route to make it paid. Let's just say server thing. And so, okay, moving there to 2006, the PS3 and the Wii. So we start with the PS3 because it came first, and this is a joke. And this is when I'm also shaming myself as a Sony supporter buying it at launch. Yes, I am so ashamed. I am really ashamed and admitting it. Man, I'm just ashamed. It wasn't even future proof. Let's just say that within 2 months, my original 60 gig bricked. How to get a replacement? That bricked. Then how to get the slim one that doesn't have PS2 backwards compatibility. Whatever. And now it's working fine. Still, I'm so ashamed. I want to throw up because they trying to copy Microsoft's SKU. So for the 20 gig model, it's $500, and of course the 60 gig model is $600 US. Do I agree with the price? Hell no. No one ever gonna agree with that price. Yeah, remember I said before that you can't judge the price prior to its release. When it's released, yes, you finally get your judgment. You can give your judgment. Yet people did say, "Oh, $600 not that bad for PS3." Why? Because it plays Blu-ray, it plays PS3 games. Blu-ray ROM was made by Sony. Because Blu-ray was made by Sony, they overtake HD DVD. That's what Microsoft wasn't even using that. So that's why some games can't even go to the 360. It's back compatible with PS2 and PS1 games. It has virtual console of its own, PlayStation 1 games, and then later on PlayStation 2. I mean, there's a lot. You can go to the internet. It has built-in Wi-Fi. It has some features, and yes, if you notice all those features, the reason why it's so priced because of those features. Some of them are unnecessary, like the big grill version had a memory duo. You can put it in. You can flash stick, compact duo. And the problem is, it doesn't even accept external saving. You can only save it in the hard drive. That's it. So the question really is it worth that price? And the answer is no. Should it be lower? Heck yeah. How much? I don't know. The PlayStation 3 was an embarrassment for Sony. They got cocky because of the PS2. And of course, Ken Kuragi said the reason why he wanted to put all those features, but to keep it low, Sony business said, "Hey, that ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen because you put in too many shit. Excuse language. That's what happened. Had so much potential, but the business was so horrible, and I'm amazed that it caught up to the 360 in sales and popularity that." In the HD era, believe it or not, the PS3 won the HD era. Because when they had to change the PS3 to the slim one, they had more games coming in, and it actually lasted 6 months. Oh my gosh, people like, ah, really? Like, yeah, it caught up and it won the console war in the HD era. But again, initial price was really stupid. I can't really say how much. I can say the price of the Slim should be that being the initial launch price. I think it was $200. No, yeah, they did lower it down by $100. I think it was $300 and $400 with a bigger hard drive and much better performance than the base initial launch. Ugh, so stupid, really. I'm sorry. Okay, moving on from that is the Wii, one of the best console sold in worldwide in history. 250 with a packing game, Wii Sport, the most popular Wii game ever. Anybody can play it. People bought a Wii just to play Wii Sports. I have to admit it. It was fun for what it is. It was fun. So, do I agree with the price of it? $250? Well, yes and no, and I'll explain why. Yes, because the competitors were too expensive to begin with. It was the cheapest console. Granted, it's not in HD, but it's not about graphics, it's about fun, and the game was fun. Wii Sports was fun. So they kind of get away with it because you got PlayStation 3 with freaking four, $500, $600. The Xbox 360 was $300 to $400. So they kind of get away with it. So yes, I think it makes sense. Do I agree with it? No, because the $50 probably was because of Wii Sports. But again, it was so cheap than the other competitors, you can't really blame it. So they got away with it. I would prefer to be $199 $200, but for what it is, they got away with it because they introduced motion control. They basically introduced new IP games. It can connect online. You can play virtual console, old games from the N64, Super Nintendo, and Nintendo. Plus, it was backwards compatible with the GameCube. So yeah, I guess and no. The only weakness with the Wii was there was no Ethernet port. It was you have to buy this Nintendo USB adapter to connect it if you want it wired. But it has built-in Wi-Fi, so it works. So again, yes, it makes sense because the competitors were more expensive. No, it should be lower. All right, so now from there, we're moving on to a new era. And I used to dub it called the resolution era because people would keep talking resolution this, resolution that. It's supposed to be beyond 1080p, which right now it's sort of. I don't know what the era is called. Maybe it is resolution. If someone else had a better name, hey, just call it out. So for this one, this is when the Wii U, basically Nintendo's console, first ever failure, worse than the GameCube, and that is the Wii U. And I did mention before in the beginning of the video, it had worth to $300 and $350 initial launch. Sad to say, no. Should it be lower? Yes. One, the basics should have been existing. Why would you even do it? I know option is good, but sometimes in this situation, I guess it was bad. So the basic set was a joke. 8 gig, that's it. You can only put 2 games and you're done. And in order to have a bigger hard drive, you have to buy. I mean, granted, you can buy an external hard drive and then provide a proprietary operating system on that hard drive, which means you can't use it on another, in a computer. It has to be, if you're gonna use it for the Wii U, that's it. Sort of cool, but at the same time, it's questionable. But the price wasn't right. Like 350, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. The online wasn't that good. So yeah, no, I didn't buy it on launch. I bought it a year later when it came out. One of my all-time favorite SKU, Super Mario Brothers U and Super Luigi U, on a physical disc, which I'm surprised. I'm surprised that game came in. I don't know why in the physical disc. I guess there was no coding for a digital download version. That's kind of weird. I'm I'm just saying it's weird. Yet, I guess they have really. Yeah, I have heard both Nintendo Land and Super Mario Brothers U didn't have like a download version, which is weird, but a different story. So yeah, what's in the right price? Heck no for what it does. So, of course, within 6 months, they had to do a price drop, got rid of the basic set, and I said it before, I'm going to say it again. In the fiscal year of 2014, the Lady Water basically blamed the Wii U because of its markdown. It kind of showed that it was bad business, bad marketing. They should have a better strategy with it. Again, $300 with the deluxe, right price. $350, heck no. So then comes the PS4 and the Xbox One. The PS4 was $400 for what it is. Again, controller, HDMI, power cord, and the console itself. And it had a 500 gig hard drive. Kind of suck, it should be more, but it's not a hard drive, does cost money. No packing game. Again, you say, well, is it worth $400? Well, I believe so. Here's the reason why. It plays PS4 game. Granted, it's not backwards compatibility. Bullshit. I know, excuse the language. There is PlayStation Now. That's their solution of backwards compatibility to some extent. However, it's not what people wanted, but again, it's better than nothing. Again, it plays PS4 games. It also introduced, well, initially, you can do Share Factory. You can make videos. You can stream using Twitch. You can play Blu-ray. You can have apps, Netflix and Hulu and other apps. In the beginning, they also introduced the live event videos, which apparently they're gonna get rid of it because it's really kind of useless. But I don't know what it was. It really wasn't that useful. Kind of like Nintendo Wii U's TVI or whatever. So again, $40 for what it does. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Should it be lower? Well, they did finally with the Slim. Now it's like $300. But again, at its time, I think it was great because they introduced, again, like I said, streaming. You can record video game. That's always what people wanted without using any outside material like what did the people use? Well, there's like capture devices. This well, Pinnacle's another one. There was a thing they kept talking about, and I can't remember what it is. They talk about it. Big Al kind of did it. Super Soldier Robot, Mike Maverick did it. Forgot what the device is. So if somebody knows, shout it out. Hey, whatever. But again, yeah, it was worth $400. Yeah, kind of makes sense. Then the Xbox One was $500. It also basically had the same content to some extent with the PlayStation 4, and also they put in the Kinect as a mandatory. The so was it the right price for what they offer? A little tricky because one of the biggest downfall, and people complain about it, Review Tech USA complain about this, is the reason why it costs $500, $499 was the Kinect. That was it. They put in a Kinect, and people complain about it. I bet you, if the console was $350, better yet, $300 with the Kinect, it'll be a different story. But of course, realistically, they probably couldn't do it. Even Pacto basically said, "Why could you lower it down with the Kinect?" They said that's going to happen. Then why not give them gold instead for a year? And then they said, why would we do that? Pacto just then say, "Wow, wow, seriously, wow." So, and of course, they didn't have a packing game either. But again, as with the PS4 and the Xbox One, so maybe the Wii U, but I think the Wii U didn't really have a free to play game. Both PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, since you can go to connect to the internet, they were free to play games. So, I mean, DC Universe, shoot, there were other ones I can't really remember, but yeah, they have a lot of free to play games, and surprisingly, they're fun. A lot of people throw free to play games because, well, in order to optimize and to really have fun with the game, you need to pay. Well, yes and no. I play free to play games. Some of them they're fun. There are a lot of them now. As of right now, there are a lot. So, again, you say, well, it's not a packing game. It's not a again packing game. Is not meant. It's not really what you think like a retail game. People have to think outside the box. They kind of did it. There you go. Just putting it out there. Again, if the 360, the Xbox One was 350 tops, but 300. Well, no, $400. Is it for? Yeah, man, I'm sorry with my math. $400 or $450. That's what I'm trying to say for the Xbox One. Now, apologies. It was $450 or better yet, $400 for the Xbox One with the Kinect. It might be a different story. And you might again say, well, no free game. Again, go to the internet, free to play game. Just saying. Same goes with the PS4. So, Yeah, it was a big of a fumble. They couldn't do it. If they did that, it would be a different story. But I kind of get it why they had to go the price, because people did say, why couldn't the PS4 add in the camera for free? They said, well, we can't really put it for free because we're going to lose a lot of money. So we just give you an option to get it separately. And they were giving people an option. Again, I kind of get it. But at the same time, it's not really a game. So again, it is an extra necessity. If you're gonna make it mandatory, then you're gonna have to make it reasonable price. A lot of people didn't really like the Kinect, and yes, sadly to say, Microsoft really abandoned the Kinect for the Xbox One. So yeah, those are the price. Of course, now we got the PlayStation Pro, and Project Scorpion's gonna come this November, March 3rd, 2017. The Switch gonna come. Okay, is the Pro worth $400? It's the same thing with the regular PlayStation 4. It does have a bit of enhancement that can help you gameplay better, from what I heard. It supports 4K TV, not 4K Blu-ray, which is kind of weird, but maybe they'll fix that. But yeah, 4K, even 4K on Netflix, from what I heard. And again, it's a new technology. But mind you, the original PlayStation 4, now it's called Slim, is now $300. Remember, the PlayStation 4 Pro is not really a new system, which is more on enhanced. Hard to say, maybe in the long run, so I really can't say anything about it. Project Scorpio, they're not even out yet, so I can't say anything about it. But I do can say about the Switch to some extent. Is it worth $300? Right now, I can't really say much because it's not out yet. Should have been a packing game. Yes, want to switch for $300. I know Reggie said, no, no, no. We put a packing game. It's going to be $350, and people are going to get mad about it. Again, I did mention it on that video. Packing games supposed to be free. That you cut your losses. That's how it goes. And if you can't accept that, then kind of suck. But right now, I can't say much about it due to the fact that yes, that is not out yet. So we have to wait and see what's going on. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the prices of the launch prices of those consoles. My thoughts about it. Some are good, some are bad. Like PS3, Wii U were bad. PlayStation Pro right now maybe, but I don't really see anything that benefits to people why you should get a Pro unless you have a 4K TV. No one really knows about Xbox One. We gotta wait and see until November. And Switch coming this March the 3rd. Again, for me, I'm not gonna, even a Nintendo fan, I'm not gonna get one because I'm always a wait and see strategy. Better SKU coming later on, and probably gonna get it so I can play Super Mario Odyssey. Not so much with Hyrule Warrior, or not Hyrule Warrior, Fire Emblem Warrior, excuse me, not Hyrule Warrior. I just played it, that's why. Good game, but it's a Dinosaur Warrior game. Super Mario Odyssey is probably the first game I would buy for the Switch. Again, we'll wait and see about it. So with that, thanks for listening. See you guys later. Bye. Yeah, I kind of been tired, so later. Bye.